now allow me to introduce you to Limor. I met Limor in the Jeff Pulver group, and it's been a really a great group to network and connect. And Limor specializes in helping stakeholders transform their business objectives into a sophisticated, unique, and how you should position your business in the 2021 era or year. She founded the LMD Designs in 2006, working in both global and national and local companies.
Hi, everyone. So before we start the presentation, I was really interested to hear about what you do. And my goal is through the presentation to ask you questions because the presentation is for you. So if you can put it in the chat, that would be great. So I'm asking everyone to stop chatting about something else because it's going to be challenging to try to do both. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the screen. I'll just put this, yeah, I can do that. Okay. So we have a new company. It's called Nuke. And Nuke is part of LMD Designs, and we're transforming it and into Nuke because we identified something that the clients really need right now. And it is to think with them, what is the next step for them into the future? What type of services, what type of solution, what type of products they will need, not just now, but how can they create new revenue streams? And by thinking about innovative ideas that can carry you to the future, you can create new possibilities. So what we do is we're going to help you innovate and think about what kind of things are not there yet. What is the position of your company could be if you take more innovative ideas and build your company a different way. How can we transform you in the digital space or even in the physical space to do something new? And the last thing is how to help you thrive, not just now, but also in 5 years, 6 years, or 10 years. So companies we worked with, and it's kind of big, small, national, international. I have a lot of experience of working with companies that wanted to start and open offices in New York and weren't sure how. I worked with Asia and Europe a lot before I moved here to New York. I worked with a lot of high-tech companies in Israel before I shifted to here. And I've been here since 2006, built LMD Designs. And it is exciting time to do transformation. And I think I can talk personally by building Nuke. It's kind of figuring out what companies need. And this is what I want to talk to you today about. So, the 5 things we're going to talk about is how to gain new opportunities and have new ideas for your business. And think about where is your value in the market now and where it could be and where we can help you get there. So what I want to do right now is please just type if you have new ideas or new ventures currently in your pipeline. Just say yes, no, are you thinking about it? Just chat with me. That would be great. Okay, always. Yes, that's true, Robert. So all of you always have something new in your pipeline that you want to do and you're thinking about. So when we think about what is the new and next revenue stream and where can I find it? And I saw that some of you are really thinking about creative ideas to build your business and expand it. So this is a perfect session for you because we're going to talk about how do you do it. And there is a method to the system. I don't know why it's stuck. Okay, so we all feel stuck, me included, and I'm in the creative business, so I can totally relate. We all overwhelmed, we all zoomed out, and we all tried to do at least five things more than we can. So I would say, first of all, if you're visioning what your business could be in the tomorrow, you need to identify a couple of things. One, what is the white spaces in your category? What are the gaps? So sometimes it's kind of something that you never took into consideration. And I want to give an example, even though it's a bigger company, but Amazon starting by becoming a huge marketplace. One of the benefits they gave their Prime membership customers, streaming and downloading music. It was a sidekick. Look what happened. 2020 was a huge deal. They increased their margin. I don't know even I can go to my numbers, but it was unheard of. I can't tell you how Netflix grown in this year to a production company. So something that evolved through time and wasn't your primary product or service can become that just by looking at a couple of things. One, look at the inspiration. The best ideas come when you look at something else, other industry, other category. You can drive good ideas into your industry and see where the spaces are, where something is not there currently. Do you agree? Say yes if you do. Do you think it's a good idea? Good. The second thing is ideas can come in all shape and form. Thank you, Efan. Oh, yes, we do agree on that. So ideas can come, and Bernie remembers that Jeff Pullover talks about that he gets his ideas in the shower. I get it while working on other clients. And then I said, oh, this client could benefit from this because it could work with this. And suddenly my brain is poof. And then I go to my team and say, oh, we can do this and this and this. And we start evaluating those ideas. I say, write them down. Don't dismiss them. It might be that the idea is not good, but the structure of the idea and the grain of it is a fabulous idea. So don't judge it before you have time to think about it or maybe go back to it. I have an idea book that I put everything in. Sometimes I go back and I look at things that I didn't start, and then 2 years later, they came into fruition. Nuke is a good one. Um, we're in the creative industry, and as I saw, there is a couple of people here in the group that are in the marketing, in the creative, in building. A fan is, is building marketing solution and branding solution. So we understand, and our all in in all our industries, we understand how important it is creative even in the financial industry, right, Barry? We understand how important it is to be creative. So I would say there is a method to creativity and how to pull great ideas from it. The last thing that I would say, and I've seen a couple of disruptive ideas in this group, to become disruptive in the market, you have to find what is the best solution that could come to something you're doing right now, but maybe you're not even looking at it because it's so obvious. So I'm going to say Uber because everybody needed driving, but Uber came with the solution that if you need to go from point A to point B, and instead of driving a taxi, right, getting into a taxi, we can be an app that will be there everywhere. with you. And then they created Uber Eats because if their drivers are already on the road, why not deliver food, right? So we created a whole new service based on the need, but also something that was sidetracked that became a full service. So I want you to remember that in your industry, in your category, there are so many things that are not thought about. So before we go to the next thing, if anybody has a question and you want to pop it in the chat, please feel free. I know it by heart, so if you need to disturb me, you can definitely do so. I would love to have more of your questions. So if I remember correctly, I think Mike, you talked about your you teaching driving lessons. Am I correct? Yes. So I'm thinking there, and you're talking, and I'm thinking, what is the opportunities in business like such as yours, right? It's kind of you have the interaction, they need to learn the rules. What's happening is they have to sit with this horrible book that I remember the first time I had to do it in Israel and the second time I had to do it in the US, and how hard it was to understand some of the concept because it's not parallel. And I'm sure in Canada there are different ways of talking about signing and stuff. So I'm thinking, oh, wouldn't it be interesting if, and I let you continue that. So, what would be something cool around driving and educating young drivers? What would be the possibilities around that? What would be the great new thing for you as a business? So, each one of you, I want you to think about the strategy and the process of thinking about something new and creating new initiatives. Now, I want you to think about to create a game changing ideas, you have to understand the trends in your category. It could be that some of them could be written about in McKinsey, some of them could be in other big global companies with insight. That's a great way. Sometimes it could be something local that is not necessarily connected, but when it's coming to your awareness, starts to, ping, ping, ping. Oh, this is interesting. So I want you to start writing all those interesting things. The second thing is once you have kind of the concept, you have to think about how big it could be. And I'll give you an example. I worked with Stevo Systems. We had to solve a problem from IBM. How to sort images. We're talking about agencies with tons of images. I can't even tell you how many because it's millions. How do you organize huge amount of data in a way that creatives can really find their and sort them well? They wanted to work on an old system. And I'm saying it right now because this is kind of really important. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, but if you work on a system that cannot grow, the data cannot be expanded. So then you have to think about it this way. Am I going to invest in something new that might take longer and more money and budget, but it will grow into the future? Or I'm going to try and twist my current system to work with what I have. I'll tell you right now, Bed Bath and Beyond, Lowe's, and also IBM learned that working on old system is not the best solution. So again, when you're building a concept, think about it this way. What is the clear goals that you want to set? Second of all, what is the technology or the future trend in technology? I can talk about now. Somebody said that he's doing signage, right? Signs. I don't remember which one was you, but I remember that. And I'll explain. We are thinking about reducing plastic right now. What will happen if you'll think about solutions that maybe it will be signage that could be different, not from materials that are currently available. So thinking about new ideas and new approaches for your business is thinking about what is currently available, but what could happen if I'll think about other things. Second thing, prioritize. We all are too busy. Yes, thinking outside of the box. Yes, Margaret, it's really important. Thinking about not what you have now, what could happen in a month, because the technology is changing and it's going to continue changing. Now, prioritize. You have certain budget, you have certain amount of people with you. Are you hiring external team? Are you aligning your workers to help you? Who is the person that you're going to give him to think about these things? Are you setting times, a weekly session to talk about innovative ideas? I would say yes, and do it on a weekly time. If you have Mondays mornings, that's a good time. If it's Friday when you've done all your tasks, that's a good time, but always prioritize. Now, when we talked about the system that I talked to you, and it could be as small business, it doesn't have to be huge businesses, because what we see now is that small businesses comes with a lot of new disruptive ideas. So I'm just saying, maybe it's kind of, it doesn't have to be huge, but it could be very significant. Valuable elements. When you're setting your goals, what would be the elements that the consumer will really appreciate? Go back to your clients, go back to people you know, look at your competitors, start to look at what's happening. What can you solve that is not there yet? What is your end game? Is it exit strategy? Are you planning to sell your company at a certain point, but you want it to be valuable? Are you planning to get investment? What is your end game in this? Are you going to make new revenue streams? Do you want to become the next new da 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 da? Onboard talent. If you don't have the people that can help you build the roadmap for this game changing idea that you have, one, you can hire them as a freelance, you can onboard them, you should align the whole management team. And I'm talking about the leadership. It could be two people, it could be 20. You have to onboard them and align them with the strategy and the set of clear goals. If not everybody on the same board, I can tell you, I've been to at least 4 projects that we had a lot of issues building the product because not everybody were on board. And I don't want to tell you how much money they spent on that. The next thing would be, what is the performance metrics? So we set the goals, we know what the end game. Now we are envisioning what would success look like, right? It's so important. Okay, so before we go to the third, I want to ask you all to tell me on text or just shake your hands when you're thinking about new products, services, or new revenue stream. Do you plan? Do you make a real plan? Just nod your head. You don't, you do. You can say yes, no, not sure. Yeah. So, yeah, I know it's kind of. So, I'll tell you what, planning made perfect. Yes. Well, I think planning, the more detailed planning, it's better. And I'll explain why. And I must say, I'm doing it with clients almost every day. And for over 16 years, I'm ashamed to say, oh my God, time spreads. But I do it for so long. And one of the things that I noticed is yes, to get what you want, you need to know what you want. Yes, that's kind of the basic. You have to build a system around innovation. And it doesn't matter how big your business is. It really doesn't matter. It could be small business, it could be a bigger. I worked with an organization, I worked with teams in Google. It's kind of important how you work. Yes, Robert, coffee, coffee, coffee makes us work. And I must say, we all feel it. So, how do we create this blueprint? How do we start? Because there is a system to the madness. It's not that magical to become innovative, even if you need coffee. So, first of all, we talked about the strategy and research. And when you have a book and you build, so you have an idea, you start to test it to see if it's valid, what's going on in the market. The second thing, you take the ideas, the research, and the strategy, and you start writing notes. What do you want to happen? What is the end game? Again, it's really important. Like, what do you want to do in 5 years? Do you want to grow your business? Do you want to be sold? Do you want to add more employees? Do you want da 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 da? What do you want to happen? The next thing that you want to do is scope of work, understanding what would it take. And I have a company right now that they created a wonderful app. And I can't tell you the details, but I can tell you that it's sitting on the shelf and doing nothing for them. So they didn't plan that the scope of work would be the launch of the product. So yes, they have a wonderful, but they're a B2B company. Suddenly they're into B2C space and they're engineers. And what do they know about innovative idea that you have to launch to the market and you have to create a go-to-market plan? What? Well, so now we're launching in April and I have 2 months to build everything. Come on. It's kind of crazy. It's it's also putting your company at risk because the measurable it would be successful, right? Yes, that's it. Now, when you're creating the scope of work and you're finding who is the agency or the team with you to work on this plan, one of the things is we call it plan development. We write all the tasks. It doesn't matter how small. Listen, I have a business that builds website, and a fan can attest. Website or branding are all about details. We have to understand everything in the process. One, two, three, four, five. You can get sleep until I get to 100. It's all about little details. However, when you create a plan for development, it might not have so many details, but you still have to have what will happen in phase one, what will happen in phase two, what will happen in phase three, and so forth. And then we start to think about what would be the deliverable. Is it an app? Is it an online e-commerce solution? Who is going in? What are they going? So what will happen in the process? Did you post something, Robert, that I need to address, or it's just a combination? Okay, we'll get back to it. Oh, just the website. Okay, so we can talk about it later in the Q&A if you want to ask something. So the deliverables are important because they're thinking about what will happen. Is it a book? Is it TED Talks? Are you going to do a series of discussions online? What are you going to do with everything you built here? And then, of course, the launch strategy. Okay, I have a wonderful product. I have wonderful service. Everybody wants it. What's now? How do I come to the market? What is the measurement? How do I evaluation? How do I tell people about this product? Now, before you launch, You have to plan it in the concept. You have to understand. And then another thing that I want to say, timeline, timeline, timeline. And as website and other projects, we estimate it will take 2 months. How long usually it take? 6 months. So I would say give yourself a buffer, a big one, for mistakes, for problems, for testing, for glitches, to ask people what they think, to talk about it. Take your time. It's better to do it once than to be late. When I estimate for every project, I always give them 30 days extra. And I say to the client, I'm giving 30 minutes to the additional because I know we're probably going to be 60 days over because of approval process, content changes, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what the items are, there's always takes longer. Now, number five, this is really important. So, when we create a roadmap for success, it starts with, we talked about um, kind of the concepting and the idea and the innovation. But when you start building it into your business and thinking again, not about now, what will happen in 5, 10 years. So I usually say to clients, start at 5 years because it's kind of easier to think about it. Also, with what's happening now with technology, 10 years is too much. We don't know what will happen in 10 years. Let's talk about 5 years. So, I want companies, and I want you also to think about and tell me if yes or no. Do you think about kind of what is the end goal in 5 years about your business? Do you have thoughts about that? Okay. And do you write them down? Do you put a plan or okay, good. Yes, yes, yes. And it's written. Great. Anybody else wants to share what they're thinking? Okay, so I see you're all on board. Yes, I know, Lisa. We all should do more than we do, but you know what? It's really interesting. Um, okay, so creating a detailed roadmap to a company is really important. And I think one of the things that we should look at is what type of channels, once we created this product and when we're thinking about how it will become live, I would say what type of product and service, of course, right? Do I have online experts to help people understand um, what am I doing if it's a new service that nobody understands, right? Do is it the product that is direct to consumer or is it a B2B? Now I must tell you, I work with a lot of B2B businesses, and one of the things that is happening right now is unbelievable. The B2B category is going through a transformation. I can't tell you what's happening in real estate, what's happening even in the financial industry, and I'm sure Barry can attest to that. A lot of things are changing the way we're doing business. So I want you to take into consideration what am I giving, if I'm giving something to the consumer, what it would look like. Is it a cloud based solution? How to content. So, Mike, this is for you. You're teaching people how to content is really important and critical in your industry, even though you do it in the car. But who says you need to do it in the car? You see what I mean? Like, we need to think outside our screens and our minds. We have to think about what type of solutions we can offer clients. Now, another thing is downloads, currencies, avatars. what kind of things we can offer and enter to our business that can offer either membership or maybe different approach to downloads. Instead of giving them another white paper to download as a sales approach, what would be more valuable for them? Okay. Another approach, we're doing a business now with interior designer. I work with a lot of real estate companies and developers. And this interior designer wants, she has a niche market and she wants to build her business in much more efficient way. One of the things that we're thinking with her, what would it be for her to go online? It's really interesting. We came up with amazing ideas. And one of them, I think we're going to market with because one of them is viable. So I'm saying in your industry, there is all kind of opportunities to become software as a service. Look it up. Another thing that we need to look at is unboxing experience. You know what unboxing is. If you don't, just do know and I'll explain it. So, okay. So unboxing means that you see those YouTube movies that they open the box, they show you all the items. IKEA does it for chairs. We bought two office chair ergonomic. They had an unboxing experience that you can see all the parts, how you put them together, and also what each element does instead of you calling them and asking for help, right? So, this is a great way to explain about your service. So, what is your unboxing experience? Samples. Okay, I want to say something about samples. It's really critical. So I don't know in your industry if you give samples, but I would say this. People love free. We all love free. Um, I have my author do unboxing videos. Yes, that's definitely important. Thank you, Kimberly. We all have to understand the unboxing experience. It's such a great, and also it's comforting. I must say, looking at unboxing experience for a user standpoint is a really great way. Oh yes, Robert, you're right. Samples are critical in many industries, especially in the retail industry. So I'll talk to later on, and maybe you can talk about your experiences. But when you create a sample strategy, you have to think about your end game and how it does relate. And maybe, yes, that's true, Kimberly. Samples and free samples in the online industry are really big as well. However, you have to think about what is your end game. Maybe the service that starts with samples becomes something else. This is, I've done at least two startups. We built something around that. It was amazing. It was so unpredictable that I was shocked that we came with it. You know, it's kind of like, oh my God, we just thought about the best, coolest idea. And this, and I can't talk about it beyond that, but it's kind of around the samples. Live streams. Okay, we are all Zooming nonstop. We have seen a lot of industries change through the live streams. I'm talking health, I'm talking mental health. I can talk on and on how it changed our life. What could be your new thing to use live streams? The next part would be virtual events. Okay, so I must say, virtual events are a bit could be disappointing, but I participated with an amazing event that was virtual, was the best experience ever because they planned it as a virtual event and not as a regular event. So when you think about virtual events as part of your business, you have to make it special. You have to make it extraordinary. Make it something that people would love it and want to come back. So make it unique to you. And then again, virtual workshops is the same thing. You have to make it exciting. You have to make it, if it's in part with your business, you have to think, how would it be wonderful for your users?